Recognize this guy? We have Hell's Kitchen's casting director and producer Sheila Conlin in the studio today. We're going to talk about her journey from a young age being a backup dancer for the iconic Prince, all the way to being a booking agent for the legendary Tony Bennett, to recently creating the show, The Curse of Von Dutch. Tune in, you don't want to miss this. Welcome to the show. We're going to get into your life and what you do, what you have done, some super exciting stuff. I want to just start off with tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and we'll go from there.
Where am I from? I grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota. So a little tiny town with big names that come from there, like Bob Dylan, Prince, Jessica Lange, a few of those.
Oh, yeah, a couple legends.
Yes, and very cold weather. But I grew up there. Went to, come from a Norwegian, Irish Catholic family, kind of crazy, cold weather, hot weather, the whole thing.
Yeah. As a youngster, you got into dancing, and some exciting stuff happened from that. So before we get into you coming to LA, I want to just talk about that. Tell me a little bit about the dancing and what that led to when you were in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. Back then, well, it still happens now, but the typical, you put the boys in sports, baseball, basketball, whatever, football, hockey, Minnesota. Then the girls go to dance class, So fortunately for me, I really loved it. My sister, not so much. She dropped off after a while. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it. But I continued. And I was very fortunate. My dance teacher, two of them, were actual professional dancers doing what we call industrial shows. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I was 14, and they were in need of another person to start working with them. And they approached myself and my parents, of course, and offered me to go on the road with them doing industrial shows for companies like Dairy Queen, Toro, Harley Davidson. So it was really interesting. Happened mostly during the summers. But I still had to have a tutor or a student teacher, as they kind of call it in the industry, because I was underage, right, to be with me. Mm-hmm. But that was an exciting adventure.
Wow. And that led to you going all over the place, even Vegas and different cities, and it even landed you a backup dancing slot with an iconic legend.
Yeah, it did. It did. So the company I worked with was called Old Log Theater. Mm-hmm. Very famous theater, family run in Minneapolis. And so a lot of their sound and light people also worked over in Minneapolis at First Avenue, Paisley Park, which, Prince is the one who hails from there. And so when we would do rehearsals, sometimes we would end up over at his place. Anyway, it became one big happy family, sort of, right? And it just so happened that once he was getting ready for the 1999 Triple Threat Tour, the album, not the year. And one of his dancers was injured, and he knew us from rehearsing at his place. And I was asked to fill in for a couple of the shows. And, of course, I jumped on it, and I did it. And I got to work with Prince himself, Morris Day and the Time, The Revolution, and, a little tiny part, on stage. I still have my purple tambourine.
Amazing.
But, it was a moment of, a lifetime. It was phenomenal.
Did you know at the time how big Prince was going to be? Did you know at the moment, this is huge, or was it just more of this is a great opportunity and it's fun?
He was pretty well known.
He's already pretty big. Yeah.
He was pretty, but still sort of in that, I don't know, because I think this was pre-Purple Rain, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I keep forgetting that, right? But, it just sort of felt like just the norm, right? It's also what I've been doing since I was 3 or 4 years old, right. And then on the road at 14, doing it. It sort of was, yes, was it spectacular? But it was also like, okay, kind of the next step. That's what you do.
Yeah. Was there any memory of just working with him or watching him work that it was like, dang, this guy's different? Was that a conscious thing you knew?
What did stand out was how he was as a person. He was kind. He was respectful. He was disciplined. And he cared about family. The stuff that I remember specifically, and my youngest brother, Pat, will attest to this. He would have parties at Paisley Park, and he would say to us when we were going through the rehearsals and doing all this stuff, whatever, he'd be like, okay, family, we're going to have a party at Paisley Park. You can invite anyone who's under 18 can come from, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. At 10 p.m., anyone under 18 has to go. And during that time, there's no drinking and there's no drugs. There's no, craziness, right? And my brother Pat got to bring his friends and do that. And I just remember that guy was like, that's, first of all, just very generous, number one. And then, at that time, the youngins had to leave. And again, I don't remember anything really too crazy or off the wall that went on after that. I never really saw anything too insane.
Yeah.
But that was something that stuck out in my mind.
Oh,
it stays with me.
Yeah, that's great. That's a fantastic. That's an answer. I love that answer because it's also mentioning just the discipline and the family, but it also it testifies to your commitment to the craft and your work ethic. So right. I like that. It's not so much you were in awe of this, like you knew you were working with a very talented person, but you yourself were talented. So like you said, everybody there was talented. You guys were like, I could relate with that. It's like you work with somebody great, but you're like, I'm also focused on my craft and making sure I'm doing what right. I'm supposed to do for the production to be great.
Exactly. And I always think that was the main point. We're there for a reason. We're there to entertain, to make people feel good, happy, and this is our job. Yeah. In a sense, right? And it's kind of a cool job. Yeah. It did parlay into, years later, I ended up working for Phyllis Diller. I was her tour manager. Wow. And again, when you're working for someone who is the lead, who is the star, who is the main person. Now, I didn't get up on stage with Miss Diller. She was the one on stage, but I, made sure she got on stage. Yeah. There's a respect there that it takes a lot to get up there and do that. And my job is to make sure they have every single thing they need and they are comfortable. Yeah. And I got that from knowing what it's like. Yeah, exactly. So let's jump into coming to LA, because now let's get into you've done some incredible things here in LA in this industry. So that was kind of the start of you and a great experience. Right. But what brings you to LA? What, was it the industry? Was it something different? Did you find industry here? And it's kind of a funny thing. I always wanted to go to New York. So that I had my eyes set on that, except I didn't quite know how to get there. So I remember my mom saying, oh, yeah, well, you got to do this dance thing and, you're going to go to college. I'm like, yeah, I want to go to college, but I want to go to Pepperdine to be a record producer. And everybody's like, well, what is that? We don't really know Pepperdine and blah, blah, blah. And so I remember I went, okay, I'm going to take some classes at University of Minnesota. And then I'm going to enroll in photography school because I'm just fascinated with it. And I want to learn all the mediums, not to be a photographer. I was just curious. Yeah. And so I'm like, got to remember, I was the oldest in my family and the oldest of all the cousins. So I was sort of like the test market. Yeah. Like, what do you do with her, right? And I remember my mom said, you have to get a job. And my sister was working at the Ramada Inn down the street from 3M. And I'm like, all right, I'll go apply. I don't know what I'm going to do. They were hiring for this new position, brand new, called concierge. No one had heard of that. And it was this private floor because 3M had all these international international people coming in, right? Yeah. And so we're going to be the international type cool thing. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And so I was serving drinks and making, dinner reservations at restaurants for these very important international businessmen. And so I did that. And I was so good at it. I hate to say it. Within 6 months, I sold out that floor myself with repeat business. So they promoted me to sales manager. 6 months after that, now I'm working in sales and I'm learning the hotel business. I'm like going, okay, whatever, but still like entertainment, And 6 months after that, they promoted me to director of sales and marketing. Wow. And then they go, we're going to move you to California. We have 3 properties out there that we want you to increase the sales so that we can sell them because we're going to be bought out by blah, 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 right? I'm like, all right. I go, what does that mean? You pay me money and you pay for my move? I'm like, in.
Yeah.
So packed up my stuff and my cat and went out to California and got these 3 properties up and running and sold and all that good stuff. Then they said, let's go. We're going to move you to Arizona. I go, nope. Sorry. See ya. I'm staying here. That's how I landed in LA.
Wow. So when you left that job, so you knew when you got to LA, you were digging the vibe.
Yeah.
And this is like LA at its peak too, right? This is like
kind of. I mean, it depends on peak in what industry.
Music.
I was sort of just right after the cusp of like when it was really freaking amazing.
Okay.
But still, yeah, I rode that wave a little bit.
I feel like the big hair bands and stuff were popping around that time. Or was it? Okay.
A little bit, yes.
Sunset Strip was still the Sunset Strip. And,
yeah.
Like really. Okay, so you leave that job and then how? Now, I definitely want to get into, because you've really made a mark, not just in my opinion, in revolutionizing the way the film industry works, or TV, and you got into reality TV and you've done some huge shows. How'd you get into casting?
Okay, so it's really weird. Casting is, because you really can't associate casting with reality TV. And you can, but you can't.
Okay.
But let me give you just a little more intro into how that happened.
Yeah.
So once I left said, no, I'm not moving to Arizona, I ended up in theater, worked in theater at Los Angeles Theater Center with some of the great playwrights, Reza Abdel.
On Spring Street?
Yep.
I did. I've worked there.
Yeah, when Bushnell was in charge.
Oh my goodness! I did a play there. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
that's great. It's a great theater.
Oh yeah, Tom Waits, Bill Pullman. We had everything. So, and some of the most creative people that I work with.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I did fall in love there too. Oh my gosh. Peter Ballinger.
Wow.
In my podcast.
That's awesome.
Fell in love at that moment. But then anyway, I got an opportunity to become a tour manager for Phyllis Diller, because I wanted to move into management and agenting, right, for talent. And I happened to meet her manager. I thought I was going to work for him. And he goes, no, you're not going to work for me. I've got somebody else that you should work for. And I'm like, well, who? And it was weird. He sent me to her house without telling me who it was.
Wow.
She opened the door and I'm like, what? Hilarious and fun. Yeah. And I worked with her for 4 years, nice. Which was really an amazing experience. Amazing. And we ended up at the Montreal. Oh, I did a movie with her too. It was great. We ended up the Montreal Just for Laughs. And that's where I met the owners of APA, Agency for the Performing Arts, Agency for the Performing Arts.
Yeah.
And they recruited me to become a talent agent.
Oh,
they said, you should be an agent. I'm like, yeah, what does an agent do? How much does it pay? They're like, well, come talk to us. So when I got back to LA, it was unfortunate. Miss Diller had, she went through a stroke in her eye, and it was like, she was grounded, as we call it, grounded. You're not on tour, going anywhere. And so I ended up going and working with them and getting into the talent for music and comedy.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Oh, man, what was that like? Man, you just naturally have the gift. I mean, like, they're being a producer and talking. How does that shift going for a big company like APA and being, let's talk about that. What was that like getting into repping people? Was that, it
was bizarre. I mean, it was kind of a natural progression into what I wanted to do, that I thought I wanted to do. I really loved being around talent. I think I was very good at recognizing talent and what it takes to have that it factor or star. Mm-hmm. And I was also really good left brain, right brain, like details, contracts. Like I loved that kind of stuff as well. Nice. So I fit in. I was one of the first females to be at APA as an agent. Interesting. I came from Minnesota, as you know, but in this industry, there's definitely walked into a lot of nepotism and this whole culture of a whole different world that I did not grow up in, right?
Right.
So it was very interesting, but I walked in and no fear and just, I don't know what it was. It felt natural. It felt right, even though it was just so like,
Yeah.
it
Night
was
and day. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. But I got to work with some great people: Adam Sandler, Steve Martin, Drew Carey, Johnny Cash, Harry Connick Jr., Wynton Marsalis, People Bryce. I mean, really amazing things. And I learned a lot.
Wow.
A lot about life.
Yeah.
A lot about the business.
Say the business, which is
Yeah.
so not life, but
Yeah.
it's good and bad things.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad things. There was a lot of good things. It was disheartening to know. I mean, people lie, people cheat, it's all of that good stuff. I come from Minnesota. Everyone's happy and nice.
Yeah.
Not to say that no one's bad there, but, coming from a good heart and a good place and trusting of people, I just kept that. I just always wore that badge.
Yeah.
And no matter what happened, I still kept with that integrity. But it was interesting. It was interesting to see.
How cutthroat does it get at that level? Like when you're talking about the A-list levels, and how does that affect? I have a question. Like meeting some of these great people without being specific on names, but how different does it make your experience of Hollywood when you see what actually goes down when it comes to money and contracts and the lying and the...
You know what I noticed a lot of all the people that I had worked with? I worked with some really great people, but the one thing that I learned from that whole experience was how not to do things. I kept going because I'm like an organizer, kind of a crazy, like, I could walk into any business, go, it'd be a little bit more efficient if you did this, or this would be better if you did this way or that way. And I would see that, I'm like going, why are they doing it that way? Why is it so difficult? Shouldn't be that difficult. They should sit down, have a conversation, things like that, right? But I'll tell you one quick story on that.
Sure.
So I'm an agent. I'm booking. I'm a booking agent, right? So I'm booking the clubs for the comedians and booking the clubs for the musicians, right? Very fortunate to be able to be with Harry Connick Jr. and help break his career. And I spent most of the time with him in Vegas. He played MGM, Bally's.
Wow.
And then down the street, I had Tony Bennett at the Golden Nugget. And then, so I got to spend a lot of time doing that, right? And then with the comedians, we were booking them in all the comedy clubs, right? And now I just worked for Miss Stiller. I had taken her big stage act down to small with her, helped her work on that, because that was the day of the comedy clubs, right? So that was fun. Working with the comedians, literally, I loved it. It was amazing. And then Johnny Cash, I got to do the album with Rick Rubin, Duff American, and did the opening at the Viper Room, which was amazing. Which had, who was our opener? Beck, but he wasn't called Beck at the time. But anyway, so as I'm doing the talent stuff, right, and I'm working, I meet this incredible woman and her husband, Maddie Montfort and Tony Novia. Tony came from radio, and forget how I met Maddie. She was a Latin Cuban host out of Miami. And now the two of them are living in LA. And that's how I met Ryan Seacrest, which is another story. However, Maddie, I take her on as a client. Now I get a little, poo-pooed from everybody at the age. She's like, who is she? She speaks Spanish and English. Okay, so what? She's not really anybody. And I go, well, I really want to rep her. I think she has a shot. So get this. I ended up putting her up for ABC Buena Vista talk show, right? It eventually was called the Mike and Maddie Show because she got it.
Right.
Mike Berger and it was Maddie Montfort.
No, I mean, yeah.
So I'm representing Maddie. Now it's Susie Unger Pulse from Buena Vista, right? ABC. And she's getting, Maddie's down to the bottom line, right? I've never done a deal like this, ever done a deal. This is a talk show deal, way out of my world of what I'm doing. So I remember going, Mike's agent Mike's agent was from William Morris. Oh my God, why am I forgetting his name? Super tall guy. I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, he calls me up from time to time. He goes, "You need to drop what you're doing. Your client isn't as important as my client. She's not even well known." He goes, "So stop trying to push to get a better deal. He's going to be the senior host on this show, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is crazy, right? He goes, "Yeah, you need to back off." So I go to my agents and I'm like, well, I need help to my TV department. I'm like, I don't know how, this isn't my world yet. I'm learning this. None of those would help me out. Because it was also like, not because they didn't like me, but it was like more of the, I'm not going to help you out because you really shouldn't have that deal. It should be my deal. Wow. You're in booking, so why are you doing this? Should have been turned over to us. And I'm like, no, sorry, I'm doing this deal, right? There was one great guy, Jeffrey Goldberg, that was a talent agent, and he stepped in and he worked with me at night. He was like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you get through this deal. We're going to get through it. I'm going to, make it happen. And it did, and she got the show, and it was called The Mike and Maddie Show.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that now. I didn't know at first when you mentioned it. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. So I forgot about that too. I was like, oh my God, I did that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of shade because they felt this is our department and who are you to come in?
Right.
So
And I was in the mindset of like, well, what we call responsible agent. I brought her in. I'm going to see it through.
Yeah.
And why not? Why can't I learn it? Why can't
exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a little bit of that was a big moment, actually. I think that show lasted for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
A while. Yeah.
So I have to backtrack. You repped Tony Bennett?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
Yeah, he was. It was incredible.
Oh, that's so, my grandmother loved Tony Bennett.
Yeah. He was so nice. And I mean, I also did the date for Sam Kinniston that he died.
What?
In Laughlin. Yeah.
Oh my, let's talk about that. When you got him that gig.
Because I was booking, Vegas was one of my territories. And I remember, and his brother was managing him. And I remember, and we worked with Harris. So Harris in Vegas and Harris in Laughlin, right? I think it was Sam DiStefano. I'm remembering these names. And he was, his gig, it was doing a gig, right? And then I remember getting a call like 2, 3 in the morning. There was a car accident and he was killed. And his brother was supposed to ride with him that night.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting one.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say interesting. Something bizarre to go through.
Yeah. So, yeah. And you were repping him, booking the job. Wow. Yeah. So now when you're doing that as a booking agent, you get paid a commission when you book these venues and stuff like that? Is that part of...
Well, when you're with an agency like the CAAs, William Morris, APA at the time, you get a salary, and then your commissions and bonuses are based on your booking and how much money you've brought in for the clients, for the agency. So
real quickly, just briefly, walk me through your repping Tony Bennett, or how about somebody that's not an iconic? I mean, Tony Bennett's so iconic, but you're repping someone. You have to call a venue, so you're calling me, and what do you do? Like a whole pitch on like, okay,
especially
how does
with
that
the comedians,
look?
you got to go. All right, he was just, he's at the Improv every night. Does the Comedy Store here and there, but like, we've got it's a packed show. You got to do all the hype, right? You're like hustle, hype. Yep. And back then, we didn't really have video.
Yeah,
we didn't have stuff like that to show. So it was really just sales.
Just how you did the pitch. Boom.
Right.
Okay.
And then it's word of mouth, it's reputation.
Sure.
Music a little bit different because the promoters would know the artist, and then we would try to get an opening act on a bigger act if we were trying to break an act, So it was pretty much that, and then we would send music to promoters if we had a new band or whatever, to get them familiar with it. But we were very fortunate to have some of the musicians that we repped.
Yeah.
Harry Connick Jr., though, we definitely broke his career, and it was having him work because his type of music, right?
Yeah.
Having him work those ballrooms in Vegas.
Wow.
And to get that exposure.
And then do the casinos pay you like a flat rate and then they're just basing off their ticket sales, or is it more of a split? How does that work?
Oh, that's a whole other conversation.
Whole nother thing. Okay.
Yeah,
that's my mind now trying to like,
there's things like guarantees and then ticket split, and you could do percentages of doors. Back then, it was a lot of an upfront guarantee for a big name.
Got it. Yeah.
And then there's all kinds of, you got your marketing budget, your PR budget, all that stuff too.
And these venues like the Troubadour, stuff like that are more local but really great. Is that same? You guys are, I had a friend do the Troubadour. I went to see her show and she was phenomenal. But I was always wondering that, like, are they hustling to get that, or do they have agents? Like, is that something you guys are doing?
No, yeah, the agents, we would do those clubs for our up and coming bands and development, but mostly that's on them and their managers to do that instead of an agent.
Copy.
Yeah, but it's the iconic clubs. Of course, you always wanted. I mean, I saw Counting Crows for the first time at the Roxy.
Wow.
I mean, Troubadour. Steve Martin started out at the Troubadour.
Wow.
Did
he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's great. Mm-hmm. Steve Martin's still doing it.
He's doing the banjo gig.
Really? I didn't even know Steve Martin was a musician. I didn't know him as a comedian and actor. And he
played the banjo and sang songs. Sort of, and Adam Sandler came up with playing the guitar and singing the silly songs.
The Hanukkah songs and stuff like that. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, let's talk about getting into reality TV. So you're an agent, you're doing the agent stuff. When did you go into executive producing and producing?
So after, really in the trenches of being an agent, there was a time I started to feel like, God, do I really belong here? Is this right? I'm like, do I fit in? Having those kind of questions, right? Because I always felt like it was just like, oh my God, it's always such a grind. I love it. I love what I do, but I'm like, why do I feel like you can't get through the door, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of those. There's a little, it's crazy. But I was like, but I'm also curious. And I never stopped wanting to do things. It didn't bother me to change and go on and do something else, right? I'm like, well, I don't know. Is this going to be my lifelong career to be an agent? No, I'm interested in a couple other things.
Yeah.
So I started producing live shows. I literally left from there, started producing live shows, which fit 50 Years of Funny Females for ABC. I was a perfect person to do that, right? Then I did Oops, the World's Funniest with Harry. Their names. Oh my God, that's bad. And then TV's Greatest Sitcom Moments and So now I started learning the TV world, right? So it was called clip shows. So I was a line producer. Now I'm going into more of the nuts and bolts and how does this happen, right? And I meet Mike Darnell at Fox, who's the alternative department that's running all these shows, right? Really close working relationship with him and his team, right? And then comes a show called When Animals Attack. And it was such a huge cult classic, right? So we did that for 4 or 5 seasons, I think. Again, now we're into real people, right? Real people having these crazy things happen. And I loved doing that show. I loved it. And so now I'm really getting a taste of telling these real people stories, right? So anyway, move on from that. I did Guinness World Records Prime Time. I did, a bunch of other kind of variety shows, live shows. And then all of a sudden, the ground floor of reality was emerging, right? And we were asked from Mike Darnell to do, I was working at LMNO at the time, and we were asked to do Bachelorettes in Alaska. This show about, women can't find love in the U.S. Let's go to Alaska where all the men are, and let's see if we can find love. Same time that Eco Challenge had turned into Survivor for CBS, and they were just getting ready to do Survivor. And so we were kind of at a race. Who's going to get one of these first sort of reality shows on the air? Yeah. So prior to that, simultaneously, while we were prepping to do this show, I'm now having to figure out, how do we do this? How do we find people? How do we vet them? Yeah. So I put on my sales and marketing hat, target demo. Where are the women out there that are interesting, that would leave their hometown to go to Alaska to see if they could find love? Yeah. Right? I'm like, okay, and then how do you approach them, right? Yeah. So then it's the paperwork, it's applications. How do you interview them? How do you, like, all of these interesting things that you have to start putting together. Flip side, how do you vet these people now? You don't just go, I'm going to take you, put you on a plane. Right. Are you crazy? Have you had a stalker? Are you a stalker?
Yeah.
Now, this is the other one. If they're going to have sex on the show, which back then we promoted that, you're going to hook up, right?
Wow.
What if they're already pregnant? What if so this was my mind. I'm starting to go through all these things and business affairs and my associates are all like going, wait, we never even thought about this stuff. I'm like, yeah, because I'm going to be out there going, hey, you got to meet the man of your dreams. You can't find one here. I go, if I'm thinking, okay, this could be a woman going, oh, shoot, I just got pregnant. I don't know who it is. Or something like, let me go on that show. Problem solved.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
So I'm kind of crazy that way, right?
What about diseases?
That too. Well, we had a test.
Okay.
And back then, testing, whatever, we did it all the time. Nowadays, they don't even test anymore because everyone has an STD, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, my God.
And the tests are false. It doesn't matter. It's just like, okay, just sign a waiver. You're on your own. But anyway, I have such, my stories are so long.
No, that was just really funny. The story's fine. That was funny, though.
That is how it happens now. It's just like, whatever. So, yeah, it was just such an amazing, exciting time to work with a small group of people to really launch this new genre of TV.
Yeah, yeah.
Really brand new. And we had no idea, but we had fun. We worked hard. And it was awesome. It was a very magical time.
Yeah, and your brain, what I'm saying, it's so analytical and brilliant. It's one thing, it's like you constantly are reinventing yourself from what I'm getting from this whole interview here. It's amazing how you could reinvent yourself with the common skill set of you like people, you like real people, you like, and you're a salesman, and you're good at it, and you're structural. So even in this, I wouldn't have thought of any of that. Like, okay, what if they're pregnant? What if it's this? What if, there's all that stuff we don't even think about. Like, we get a concept of, like, I have an idea. We're going to put people in Alaska and they're going to find their love. But it's like, okay, but there's a lot of stuff now that we got to vet. And so you have that kind of brain. I could see why, you're able to constantly find your way in the world. And that's a great form of inspiration for people. It's like thinking out of the box, but using your skill set and things you're interested in. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, no, thank you. And that's good for me to hear that from time to time, because I always, thought of myself as a creative person. I wanted to be a record producer. I'm very in tune with music and with talent. And, I always kept saying, did I make a mistake? Did I go the wrong way? Because a lot of the things that I threw myself into was more the analytical, more the logistical, the budgeting, the contracts, and all of that. And was I doing myself a disservice by becoming that, the buttoned up, contractual, this is the way we need to look at it, right? The objective, the justice police, or whatever you want to call it, right? We got to look like this.
The suit.
Yeah, and but I still had the creative side to me.
Right.
But sometimes I always felt, I was like, why am I in the business part of this? Why am I so much why am I now stuck in this sort of path, if you will, right?
Yeah.
But whereas, like, I want to be more carefree. Let me just go in the studio and let's create and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really nurture that side of myself, right? And just go with it. But, there was a couple years that I really struggled with that after I'd made a huge success of my company, doing 3-4 shows at a time. Several shows on the air, developing more, traveling the world, going to China, lecturing about reality TV, on panels all over Europe, working with all the UK companies. It was doing fabulous. It was amazing. And I loved it. But I started to really question, wow, I want to just create, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, it's the romantic. What's important? This is so great to point this out on this episode, because who doesn't when we get into this, right? I think we all come into this as creatives. two simple things is, look at the longevity of just the creative. The one who just goes in the studio and smokes pot and makes magic. It's like, the longevity is, where are they now, except for the very few greats that have been able to make it. And okay, that's awesome. Your long game is still going. You've made a career. You've raised a family. You've done so many incredible things by using your talent and still being creative. Another thing I want to point out is it's important for all of us to know this as creatives that are watching. You're still part of creating all that stuff. Like somebody in the military, they say like there's cooks and there's, and then the cook who's in war in Iraq, but they're working a mess deck. They're feeling like, man, what am I contributing to this? It's like you're contributing a lot.
Right.
You're here, and without you here, this machine wouldn't be working. Yes, we need the Navy SEALs and we need those front lines.
Right.
Like you need the artist, but everybody's the artist, even the producers, the agents, the managers, the line producers, the ADs, and then you have the director and you have the actor. And
it takes a team.
It takes a team. None of this would exist.
But it's that vision to start that you got to be able to see it through on both sides.
Yeah.
So, again, when we're talking about talent and there needs to be the talent, but I found myself as a producer very valuable, maybe just to myself, but it worked for me to be able to understand the logistical side of things and the budgetary, as well as what we want to be able to see on screen or on the stage. And I felt that was such a huge gift because you've dealt with it. Most ones, you got your line producer, your producer saying, no, you can't spend money on that. No, you can't have that extra, green thing hanging over there. Or you can't do this. Yeah. No, it needs to be a team that goes, Paulie, that's going to help this part of your scenery or whatever it is. And let's talk about why.
Yeah.
Let me find the money over here. Maybe we can get rid of something else, right? Yeah. So I was that kind of producer. I could always, let's make it work for the good of the project.
Yeah.
Not the yes and no's, the blocking wall.
And giving understanding maybe to the director or the creative of by talking it through of like, maybe I don't need that, right? Because we could use that on this crane later. And it's like,
this is going to be better for you for this.
Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of psychology that goes into this.
It's huge. Yeah.
I always said with reality TV, for me, I wore many hats. I was a lawyer. I was a psychologist. I was a therapist. I was a babysitter. I was just a lot. We had to do salesperson,
Yeah.
And there was a lot to manage. It was not easy to create this new form of TV.
Yeah.
It's a lot more business than it is creative.
Got it.
Bottom line.
Sheila, let's talk about a list of the shows that you did, help create, help get out there, and then tell me which one stands out the biggest for you.
It's really hard, but we can run down the list. There's, the beginning, Bachelorettes in Alaska, Celebrity Boot Camp. I actually went to boot camp at Camp Pendleton. Nice. With,
the Marines?
With David Faustino, and it was hilarious, right? Then we did Nanny 911, which was amazing. Hell's Kitchen, launching that, which then also turned into next rendition of that was Kitchen Nightmares, which is my baby, because that is my baby. And then we went on to The Moment of Truth, and oh my God, there's so many, Forever Eden. The list just goes on and on, right? But funny story, if I could hit on Hell's Kitchen a little bit and Nanny 911. While I was doing that, I was also raising my son by myself.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, his dad was in the pictures, and we love his dad, it was fine. But there was a time where I was literally on my own doing it. And I got my first office. I had $500 in my bank account, and I was working under my house, and I found an office. Well, my good friend Nellie actually gave me a start in her office until I found the place. And anyway, did it right down the street from my house. I would watch Hell's Kitchen interview tapes on the weekends because I don't see everything. I was also control for, type A, control. Plus, I'm starting a new genre. Like, I'm needing to understand our new process, right? So I'd watch every single interview, every single one. Jack would be sitting on the couch with me, a little kid. I'm like, okay, now you're going to hear some words. Don't repeat them. Because everything with Gordon, it was like, well, tell Gordon that I'm the best, And so anyway, it was hilarious. But he was right along with me. I would take him to the office. He and his friend Lucas would come. They would do their homework. And they'd hang out and with the rest of the staff until it was time to go home. So he's really much a part of, I said, there is no such thing as work-life balance for me. My life was my life.
Yeah.
And I just incorporated the whole thing. And then Nanny 911. Swear to God, Nanny Deb is Mary Poppins. We found the actual Mary Poppins from, the British nanny world. And Nellie and I actually, it's so funny, we would take Nanny Deb to lunch with Jack and Lucas because we were like, how do we handle this? Will you talk to them? And I remember the two of them always looking at him like she would go over some of the issues. Now you're going to have to do this. They would listen to her. And I'm not kidding you. We learned our parenting tips by doing that Nanny 911 show.
Awesome.
So that's how I also incorporated every show I seemed to do was seeming to do something within my life. Which is so crazy.
I love that.
Hell's Kitchen, I still didn't know how to cook, but I was around chefs and restaurants, which was something that I loved. And my father had a bar and restaurant growing up. And then going into Kitchen Nightmares, I loved that industry, that business. I fell in love with that. Nanny 911, raising my son. It was really interesting. A lot of the shows touched a lot of what I was going through in my life as I was coming up, right?
Man, it's truly fascinating. I've known you for a couple years, and I didn't know the depths of your creativity and your passion. And and I'm genuinely saying, not because we're on a podcast, I'm saying, Sheila, this is incredible. I'm finding so much that I relate with. I haven't yet found that same success, but I see myself as someone always reinventing himself, always. And every project, even Replica, I took so many elements of my life. So I just put it into this script, and I never took a writing class or anything. I'm not saying I wrote Goodfellas, but what I'm saying is it was something I loved. And what you just said really hit home for me is that every project you did, you were living in this nanny. You were like learning parenting tips and I'm doing a cooking show. I'm going to learn. I love that is an artist. Mm-hmm. That's not a business person. Even though you have a business mind and you're great at it, that's the creativity. That's the artistry. So it's like everything you were saying about, I wonder if I cheated myself and didn't just focus on being an artist. You are an artist. You created, because art mimics life, right? It's a reflection of life. So you're living your art as a real, even today, and what you're doing. It's great. It's really inspiring, man.
Well, thank you, because sometimes I look back and it really was. We lived it 24/7, and Jack can relate to that. And what I gave to my son, which I hope he took away from, which I truly believe, all these experiences, eating in restaurants, learning about different food. He used to always yell at me when I would send something back when he was like, Mom, don't do that. It's like, and I go, but it's not the way I want to eat it. It's not right. And I'm paying for this. Right. Sometimes I could get a little snippy, but most of the time it was like, no, this is not right. And I was hoping I was also teaching him, you just don't take what you're given. Settle. Yeah. You don't settle. And then if you do things the right way from a kind heart and putting it out there going, that's not really what I like, or can we do it differently? And it should be better. Right. But yeah, I lived and breathed what I did, what I loved, I guess. It made it part of my life.
And you still are. And one thing I want to say about you and your son, I've had the privilege of seeing you guys in a working relationship, but also we were in Monaco together. And if you don't mind me saying, there was something that really touched me. We had went out one night, and it was like you and Jack were dancing and singing together. And I remember thinking, just thinking of my mom and thinking how close we were and how my mom never hid who she was or never downplayed who she was.
Right.
And my admiration for her was always so much more because of that. So I loved seeing you guys have that moment. And so I think you and your son have a great relationship, and he's a bright young man, and he's doing great work with this podcast. And and you know what? And
I'm so glad you said it, because I always was who I didn't hide anything. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I was great. Sometimes maybe it wasn't so pretty here or there, but I didn't hide who I was from my kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that gave me a little tear to my eye.
Yeah, it's the best gift you could give to each other is just realness, the goods, the bads, everything.
Right.
So you're a living example of somebody he should be proud of, and he is proud of. Like I said, because I could see that, and it was a nice moment in Monaco that night. And I just wanted you. I took that in and was like, wow, this is so cool. I know I'm working with people now that really, and Jeff and Jill and everybody really cares about what we're doing here. So that was cool to feel that over there. It's not just a gig. Like, we're all really trying to make something, and you're in multiple things you're creating
the
here.
ingredient for that is, and I've taken that wherever I've gone, even when starting the company, I trained everybody. We all learned together, and we had a great base group that went on to do amazing things. It comes down to the curiosity for each other, the respect for each other, the collaboration. Everyone has something to bring to the table, right? Yeah. And if you're having fun and you have those ingredients with everyone around you, it's really a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, then when stuff hits the fan, you know how to recover from it.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't, a bed of roses throughout the whole 30 years of this, because you will get the bad apples and you will get the clogs in the wheel that are going to try and muck it up for someone. A lot of people try to do it to me.
Yeah.
And you got to just, great, no longer you don't fit. A lot of times it did affect me. I'm pretty resilient. Don't get my feelings hurt that often, but there were a few times that hit me hard.
Yeah.
And I felt like, wow, why is this happening? You know? But I think going back to the other thing that you were saying is it's the no fear and keep learning and keep reinventing. I kind of always wanted to say, always kind of thought of this. Every 10 years, I kind of do something different. And I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm finding myself in that same kind of trajectory. It's like I started off wanting to just be an actor, I mean, in life in general, I've done so many different things, from like bad things to getting in trouble to rehab and sobriety, and then the military, and then finding art. Yeah. So I'm constantly saying, just finding, but even in the arts, I've, I'm going to be an actor and that's it. I'm just in conservatory. I'm an actor. And then it turned into like writing and directing and now podcasting and acting. But, we just keep finding. And I don't know, I question myself all the time. Like, are you not doing 120% of the one thing that you should, and you're doing only 20% of each thing? But then again, life is very short, and I'm very grateful I get to do so many things. I know people giving 120, and they're not the happiest people.
Well, it's a curse.
Right?
It is a curse, because that's the other thing, too. You're supposed to take one path, be really good at it. That's what I was always told. Be really good at it. And then from there, once you master that, then you can go and do anything you want, right? Now you could go dabble. Well, that wasn't me. I was so curious about 80 million things. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to learn about this. I could do that. I want to be a waitress. I want to work in a real estate office. I want to work here. I would do anything just because I wanted to see what I want to be. What it was, photographer. I don't want to be a photographer. I just want to try everything, right? And then I'm like, it's going to sound very strange. I'm really good at a lot of things. I can't pick one.
Yeah.
I can't go, I'm an accountant. I'm just this. Right. Or I can't. Yeah. I just can't do it. I'm like a big picture vision. I don't know.
I'm same. Jack of all trades, master of none. Whatever. It's same. I'm trying to figure. Yeah, same. And then I want to be like, no, I'm an actor, and it's like, but I like doing.
But you
I want
are.
to live.
So I guess you got to go. But you are an actor. I am a
thank you.
producer. We have done.
Of course,
right?
of course.
So now you go. It's just like, where do you want to take it, right? What's next?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think for me, yeah, and like I said, the curse,
Yeah.
which came to the next big thing in my life, which really I think gave me such validation personally that I was able to do the show The Curse of Von Dutch on Hulu.
Yes, that. Oh my goodness.
Literally. And I worked on it for total 5 years from beginning inception to on the screen.
Wow.
And that after many, many years of doing reality TV, real people, I heard so many real people stories. Ones that never really got on any of the shows, but I was just fascinated. And I would hear some things. I've had people tell me that they had killed people, that they have done this, they had, like I learned and knew so much about so many people. I would sometimes be in the grocery store and I would walk by someone like, do I know that person? Like a million, I don't want to say millions, but a lot, right? And I know a lot about them, their background, their psyche, their everything, right? And their story. But what I was fascinated and very lucky to be able to do was turn everything from reality into pinpoint when I heard the story of who created Von Dutch. And I'm like, this is interesting. And to be able to turn that into a documentary and tell that story.
Yeah.
And finding and doing the research, I kind of felt like I hit this plateau, or sort of like I finally arrived in a credible place. Yeah. Not saying that reality TV was not credible, but kind of like, wow,
Yeah.
And totally different type of filming.
Yeah.
Very different type of filming.
Did you like the documentary style?
I loved it.
Something I'm very interested in too.
Loved it.
I want to start dabbling in it. Yeah.
I think I always wanted to do it, but way back when you couldn't make a living at it.
Right.
You had to be one of those, it's like starving artists or starving documentary filmmaker where you spend 2-3 years in the jungle or doing this and doing that. And then you're like, oh, you either have to have a trust fund or somebody, paying your bills.
Yeah. You're right.
Get right. So I was like, all right, I can't go down that path right now. There's no way. But no, it was really fortunate to be able to do that. And I worked with some of the most incredible people. And again, that was pins and needles. When I approached partners to do it with me, getting turned down here and there, and then the ones that said yes, that was a roller coaster of emotions and really feeling it, I guess, from a creative.
Yeah.
At that point too.
And was Hulu partners, or did you bring them a finished product and they distributed?
No, we went and pitched this, and we pitched this during COVID.
Beautiful.
We had I had broken my leg. We went to our first meeting at HBO Max on crutches. And then literally COVID went, lockdown. And we were like, no, we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep pitching on Zoom. And we had a little bit of a battle between Hulu and HBO Max. And there was one other. But that one slowly went away. And then those two went at it. And Hulu won, and I loved working with them. They were great. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So before we, what's going on now? Right now, what is anything you're working on that you want to put out now?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest thing that brought us together is, I was able to work with Jeff Burham, who brought me in to help create his vision about the Great Ghost Challenge, or about ghosts and paranormal, I should say, is his vision. And we ended up doing filming at Calico, California, in the ghost town, a reality show, which is very unique. So it's an amazing format, amazing 6 episodes with a great cast. And we are in process of getting that on the air.
Yes.
So hopefully very, very soon. And within that, in working with Jeff and his team that I got to meet, like you and Jill and everybody at National Core, which I absolutely love, is putting together some other great projects like documentary style, like telling stories, like building Habitat, the story of Habitat for Humanity. Yeah. We've got another one, the story of the Mystery House in Philadelphia, the very first United Negro Opera House, and Woogie Harris, the owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates, telling that amazing story, and we want to turn that into a musical. It's an amazing story. Then also, like, there's Laura Cifaldi, I know how to say her name, who is in the Great Ghost Challenge. She is such a great, unique talent that we want to do some more production with her and her talents and bring that to life. Yeah. There's also, working with Jeff with the Empire Strikers, the MASL, talking about the documentary of building a league. What's it like? He's, another groundbreaking person to take a league and rebuild it. Yeah. It's a fascinating story, and sports is very big right now.
Yeah.
So those are just a few things. Yeah. Those are just a few things.
Few things on the plate. Got your hands full.
Exactly.
Sheila, it's an honor having you on. It's really, I feel like, much more connected. So just hearing your story, and really it's inspiring and it's motivating. And thank you for taking time. But before you get out of the hot seat, okay, everybody that comes on the show, they have to look into their camera there.
Okay.
And for anybody watching and your story's resonating with them, what advice do you have for them?
If you're going to do something that you love doing. Because really, to me, in this lifetime, it should be, you're going to do it 24/7, at least in my experience. So you better like what you do. And I think the other component to that is, don't have any fear. There's no fear. Fear is just an emotion that you need to experience, but go for it. If you're curious about one little thing, try it. Go for it. Get it off your list, but just try everything. It's like you can do whatever you want. That's my advice.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Sheila.
Was that too long?
No, that was great.
You should never stress about the problems you be facing. Everybody in the mud on the struggle trying to make it. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration. I'm finding inspiration, and once I get a hold of it, I'll never get complacent. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration.